Hey guys, so today I am doing an Avengers Endgame spoiler review. So if you have not seen it, please just put this on your watch later list and watch it after you view the movie because I'm going to be talking about all the spoilers, everything that happens in the movie, my take on it, critiques, and all that stuff. So please, this is your spoiler warning right now. I know I haven't done a movie review in a while, but this is like the biggest comic book movie to ever come out. Um, and so, yeah, starting right now, spoilers. I love the movie very, very much. I think I want to talk about the ending first and foremost. The way they nailed the ending, it was just so perfect. I actually seen it twice already. First time was 3D, and the second time was just standard. I have to say the 3D was actually pretty well done, like seamless. Certain scenes it really popped out very nicely, especially the space scenes. So I did enjoy the 3D version, and if you haven't seen it in 3D, it's worth watching in 3D. Standard definition, I thought it wasn't that much better than the 3D version that I would say go watch the standard. Usually I say that because, like when you're watching 3D, you're focused on the middle of the screen rather than the whole surrounding, but 3D was that good that I wouldn't mind saying to watch either way. But back to the ending, the way that they ended with Iron Man dying, I thought it was such a touching moment. And actually, I will say that I cried the second time around. First time, I was more shocked with everything that was going on with Black Widow's death, Captain America's retirement, all that stuff. I was mostly shocked, and I did get emotional, and I like almost teared up. But second time around, it was just like waterfalls, and I think it's because I knew what was going on, and I just recognized the music again, and I realized like how important these scenes were because they didn't come back. So knowing that Black Widow doesn't come back and Iron Man doesn't come back, that was what shocked me. And yeah, so the second time around, I was very emotional. Um, but yeah, Black Widow dying, did not see that coming. Iron Man dying, it created a full circle um, story arc for that character, as well as Captain America retiring. So the great thing is that Iron Man and Captain America got to live out a full life, an ideal life for each one of them. Iron Man being able to have his kid in the future, and then being able to sacrifice himself and becoming selfless, versus Captain America, who's always selfless but chose to live a more life of self-interest, not technically like selfish, but just more about his self-interest, um, and a life with Peggy. So that was great. At first, when I watched the movie the first time around, I was confused with the future timeline with Captain America coming back, because I thought if he goes back in time, messes with the timeline, it creates a branch. But watching it the second time around, I listened closely to what the Ancient One said, and branches are only created when a stone is removed from that reality and it branches off to another reality. And so, being that he was replacing the stones, it didn't create any reality. It basically saved the current reality from branching off into any other reality. So I know that was a little bit confusing for some people, but watching it a second time really helped me understand the whole time traveling thing. And also, the Hulk was saying that, once you travel into the future, your present becomes the past. I mean, your present becomes the future, your past becomes, you know what I mean. He said it in a much better way, and it was a little confusing the first time around, but you get my drift. What else? The final battle scene, the best action scene in all of like superhero movies. I think it was the best, and it was my favorite scene in the movie when Sam, you could hear him on the they're like their walkie-talkie like devices in their ears, um, which is something they'd have to explain too. They don't necessarily need to explain it, but it was just kind of like, oh, there's just an understanding. Like if you're an Avenger, you have that little thing in your ear, and you could all communicate together. Um, Maybe that was something that was uh, like always there in Infinity War, and we didn't know that you could communicate throughout, every single character. But that was something that I just thought about right now. But anyway, when he's like on your left, and then you see the little portals opening up, and then Doctor Strange comes out, Black Panther comes out, all the characters come out. That was the best. And then of course, Captain America carrying Thor's hammer and saying "Avengers Assemble." That was just amazing. I don't want this review to go on too long, but because I'm basically just recapping what I saw in the movie. But I'd say any critiques that I have to give it is just having to do with the whole time traveling thing. There wasn't a lot of explanations. That's why it could be easily confusing. But now, after a couple of viewings, I think it was a lot better. It was executed pretty well. It's time traveling, so there's going to be a lot of complications, a lot of confusion, regardless. That's what happens when you're using time traveling in a movie, because it's not true yet. I mean, we haven't created that technology, so obviously it could be very confusing. There's nothing to go off on in real life. But as far as positives, I think the comedy, the action, everything in the movie was just placed perfectly. The little nitpicky things I have is like not even a big deal. Like I don't really see anything too negative about this movie. Um, yeah, I think this movie is now my favorite comic book movie of all time. I think I have to go Avengers Endgame, then the Dark Knight, and then I'll have to think really long and hard about the third one. But originally it was the Dark Knight, and I thought nothing could ever top that. But then this movie came out, and I'm like, wow, this is just amazing. When you see that battle scene with every single character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe just coming out and fighting, that was just ridiculous. It was amazing. And I think even more than that, one of my favorite scenes is when you see Thor's hammer being lifted up and it hits Thanos, and you think it was just Thor controlling it, but it was actually Captain America, because that's happened in the comic books before. So they had a lot of homages in the comics, and just referring to the MCU itself. And I think that's what they've been nailing perfectly in the Marvel Studio universe, because DC, for whatever reason, they just can't stick to the comic books and the source material and pay homage the same way that the MCU has been doing it. And when they do it, it just like, they just need better direction, I think. They need like a Kevin Feige for their universe. But anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time. Hopefully you like this review. I think this is a movie that, it's going to be very tough to top this movie. It's going to have to be like a slow build, like the way they did it. If DC wants to do anything like this movie, you got to be able to put the time in and be patient, just like Marvel was. So anyway, guys, until next time, may the force be with you.